Good evening and welcome to the virtual college exploration for all Pennsylvania students, sponsored by the Pennsylvania Association for College Admissions Counseling and StriveScan. PACAC is a nonprofit association comprised of more than 1,200 school counselors, college admissions counselors, independent educational consultants, and other professionals responsible for guiding students through the important transition from high school to post-secondary options. Thank you for joining us tonight. A few housekeeping items before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are turned off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at pacac.org. That's PACAC.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that same website. That's the PACAC website, pacac.org, PACAC.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters.
Well, thank you very much and good evening, everybody, and welcome to the greatest Zoom session you're probably going to have all year. So congratulations to you for picking the right Zoom link. We welcome you to the Penn State session here for PACAC. And again, we thank you for and appreciate you taking the time out of your Thursday evening to learn a little bit more about Penn State. My name is Dave Truro. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management at our Schuylkill campus in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. But I'm going to be joined with a bunch of friends and a big Penn State Army that's going to teach you everything that you need to know about this great university in 45 minutes or so. So that's a lot to condense in a short amount of time. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it and introduce you to our presenter. First, Mr. Justin Vorbach, coming to you live from Beaver County.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dave. I'm going to kick it off by sharing my screen. Just give me 1 second to transition over there. And today we are going to be talking about the pathways through Penn State. Penn State is a very large, complex university. And what that allows you to do is to tailor your education to your every want and your every need. And in this presentation, we're going to guide you through all of those various pathways. Starting it off and setting the stage, I'm going to show you this map of Pennsylvania. Each one of these blue polka dots represents a Penn State campus. We are one university geographically spread out throughout the state of Pennsylvania. So it doesn't matter where you start, finish, or even go to in between, you're still getting a world-class Penn State education. You have access to all of our opportunities and our resources like our robust library system. There are, however, some key differences between our campuses. First and foremost, each Penn State campus has its own flavor and unique opportunities. The three major differences, though, are size, cost, and location. In terms of size, Penn State University Park in the center of the state is by far our largest campus, with roughly 45,000 students at that one location alone. For comparison, our other 19 undergraduate campuses represent about another 40 to 45,000 students. So we have campuses like Penn State, Barron, Altoona, Harrisburg, Brandywine, and Abington that range in size between maybe 2,000 to 5,000 students. And our 13 or 14 other smaller campuses have 1,000 students or less. So if you're looking for a smaller campus environment or maybe a large major institution, we have options for you. The next difference is location. We have campuses near big cities like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. We also have campuses that are cities in and of themselves, like Penn State University Park, which grows to be the third largest city in Pennsylvania on football game days and Saturdays in the fall. We have campuses that are in the middle of the state, out maybe more rural locations. So regardless, if you're looking for an urban, suburban, or a rural location, there's a Penn State campus close to you for you. And last but certainly not least, the cost varies by campus. And we'll talk about that a little bit at the end of the presentation. But the smaller the Penn State campus, the more affordable it is because the tuition costs are lower. But other than those three differences, Penn State is one gigantic university to spread out for you to choose from. The last thing I want to mention about this slide, though, is housing. So you notice those campuses, or the dots with the orange monopoly houses, that represents campuses that have on-campus housing options available in the form of residence halls. All of our Penn State locations, though, do have off-campus housing options, apartments and local areas for you to live. But if you're looking to live directly on campus in the residence halls, make sure that you're looking at a Penn State campus with that orange monopoly house. Now, transitioning to the academic side of things, you could study almost anything at Penn State. We have 275 majors 200 minors, and over 100 certificate programs to choose from. So your academic options are practically limitless. And Penn State is known for a lot of our different academic areas. When it comes to business and engineering and a lot of our science programs, they're highly ranked in each area. For instance, we have the largest college of communications in the entire country. So again, when it comes to academics, you have the sky's the limit. You have a ton of options. Now, here's the thing. You could start almost any Penn State major at any Penn State campus. There are, however, a few campuses or majors that you can't do at every campus, and those include anything in the colleges of arts and architecture, as well as nursing. Those are programs that you have to start and finish at certain Penn State campuses. For instance, programs in arts and architecture have to be started and completed at Penn State University Park, and nursing is available at several of our locations. But about 260 of our majors, almost the overwhelming majority of them, can be started at any Penn State campus and completed through various pathways. And this is the bulk, the core of this presentation is to guide you through what you see before you. On the left is the 4-year plan, where you'll start at one Penn State location and stay there for all 4 years to complete your degree. The other option is the 2+2 plan, where you start at one location, and then after 2 years, you're able to transition to any Penn State campus that has your ending major. As long as you take the classes your advisor tells you to take, you earn decent grades, A's, B's, and the occasional C, you're able to seamlessly transition from one campus to another after 2 years to complete your degree. And it's a seamless transition. Note how I use the term transition. It's a transition, not a transfer. Again, we're one university, so you don't have to reapply or go through any kind of special review to change campus locations. It's truly up to you. And for example, with this, if you're looking to study, say, mechanical engineering, you could start that at all 20 of our undergraduate campuses. And then after 2 years, you could decide to finish it at Behrend, Berks, Harrisburg, or Penn State University Park. Doesn't matter which one you choose, you're still getting a Penn State University degree. Your diploma is going to say the Pennsylvania State University. And that's really what gives you the options and opportunities, because it's up to you where you start and where you finish throughout the entire Penn State system. That's very unique to our university. Now, another big aspect of the college experience is clubs and activities, getting involved outside of the classroom. I always tell students 50% of college is getting involved and trying new things. So at Penn State, we have 1,200 clubs and activities to choose from. You can get involved in practically anything that you're interested in. Some of the big clubs that I can just think of off the top of my head, we have a Harry Potter Quidditch team. We have an outdoor adventure club. We have an improv studio club where performing arts students just get together on a street corner and put on improv shows on the street corner. It's pretty crazy. There's a club for people named Bob. There's a club for people not named Bob. So truly, that fact alone, there are Penn State clubs and activities for everyone. And it's really important to get involved when you're in college. It's the time, again, to try new things and enjoy new experiences. Very briefly, the picture that you see in front of you is actually a snapshot from our dance marathon, more affectionately known as Thon, which is the largest student-run philanthropy in the entire world. And it's actually a 46-hour dance marathon in the spring semester. And believe it or not, it's even more than just a dance marathon. It's a year-long effort to raise money to fight pediatric cancer. So if you're looking to change the world, if you're looking to get involved and make a difference, that's just one out of our 1,200 clubs and activities for you to get involved in. There's a lot of options for you. Now, another big component to the outside of the classroom experience is athletics. And at Penn State, we offer various levels of varsity athletics. At University Park, we participate NCAA Division I. At our middle-sized campuses, Abington, Altoona, Berks, Erie, and Harrisburg, we participate NCAA Division III. And then all of our other campuses compete in several different conferences. So we're actually so large as a university that we have our own athletic conference built into Penn State. And it's called the PSUAC, Penn State University Athletic Conference, where there's 13 smaller campuses will compete against each other. Whichever campuses do well in our conference or win the state of Pennsylvania are often invited to the USCAA, which is a national conference. Think of it as the NCAA of small schools. So at no point will our smaller campuses be playing major universities like Ohio State or the University of Pittsburgh, but we will be playing colleges and universities with 5,000 students or less across the country. And then Penn State Schuylkill is also a member of the NAIA, which is another conference that lets them compete at a national level and represent the Nittany Lions. If you're not looking to do varsity athletics, we also offer club and intramural sports. So regardless of your interest, whether you're looking to commit and go to the next level of your sport or just trying to stay involved in a sport that interests you, we have options and opportunities for you. So I want to change gears now and start talking about the application process. There are actually 3 ways to apply to Penn State. On the left is the My Penn State application at admissions.psu.edu. That is our homegrown application. We are also members of the Common App and the Coalition application. It doesn't matter which application method you choose. We're still going to ask for the same questions, same information, and require the same materials, but it just gives you options to choose from. Our application usually takes about 20 to 25 minutes to complete, and we do not require things like essays or letters of recommendation for you to apply to our traditional admissions application. Now, when you apply, some of the questions we are going to ask you are what you see before you, building your program of study. So on the left, academic interest area. That represents the broad idea of what are you looking to study in college. So for example, I want to study business when I go to college. Your intended major is the major inside of that interest area. So in this case, I want to study marketing or management. So you can get very specific into the program that you're looking to study. Or you have options. If you're not sure or you're undecided between options, you could either be undecided within an academic interest area. So I'm coming in undecided in business, or you could pick DUS, Division of Undergraduate Studies, which is Penn State's undecided option. It's also our most popular starting program to get involved in. So as a DUS student, you're going to come in and you get to explore all of Penn State's 275 majors. And with the help of specialized staff members and faculty, we will guide you through all of our options. After a year or 2, you can then declare your major and still graduate in 4 years. So at Penn State, being undecided is not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, we highly encourage it. If you are torn between 2 or 3 majors, it'll allow you to explore those majors before you make a commitment. Or if you're completely undecided, you'll be given an advisor that can guide you through all of our opportunities. Next is the campus options. So you have the ability to put down your starting campus and an alternate starting campus. Whatever you put down as your first choice starting campus, we'll evaluate you for first. If we're able to offer you admission to that campus, you're going to get an offer. Congratulations and welcome to Penn State. But for some reason, if we're unable to offer you admission, maybe you don't meet our criteria or the campus or program that you're applying for is full, we will automatically reevaluate you for our alternate starting campus. So you actually have 2 chances of being offered admission to Penn State. And as you'll soon see, the criteria varies slightly between our campuses. So you truly do have multiple chances of being offered admission. And in between there, you see the optional summer start at Penn State University Park. So students that are looking to apply to Penn State University Park as their first choice campus can check off the optional summer start button, and we will evaluate you for the summer at University Park before your second choice campus. So how it works is we'll evaluate you for the fall at UP. If you're not offered admission, we'll evaluate you for the summer, where our criteria is slightly lower than it is for the fall before we reevaluate you for your alternate starting campus, just to give you a full evaluation, and it increases your chances of being offered admission to the campus you're interested in. And last but not least, your ending campus, wherever you're planning to end your degree. Please know that all of these things can be changed after you apply, specifically your ending campus. If you decide you want to do 2+2 or change to the 4-year plan after you apply and start taking classes, that is perfectly fine. And a lot of students will do that throughout their Penn State journey. When you apply, there are a few things and materials that we do need in addition to your application. On the left is your self-reported academic record. We refer to that as SRAR. So Penn State no longer accepts or requires high school transcripts when you apply to Penn State. Instead, we require you to complete this self-reported academic record, which is essentially an online form where you're going to enter all of your transcript information into this form. So you will need a copy of your transcript, but you don't have to send that transcript to us. You're just going to enter it into that form. Now, the information that we're going to ask for is all the classes that you've taken in high school, all of the grades that you've received. And we're going to be looking at your GPA, your cumulative GPA, grades 9 through 11, the academic rigor of the classes you've taken in high school. So if you've taken AP, honors, or IB classes, we will factor that into our decision. We also want to see your senior year schedule, making sure that you're challenging yourself as much as possible and taking rigorous classes. And the reason math level is on there is at a minimum, every student that applies to Penn State needs to have taken at least 2 years of algebra and 1 year of geometry. And if you're looking to study anything science, business, engineering based, we also require students to have taken a half year of trig, pre-calc, or higher in high school to be admissible and eligible for those programs. The next column is standardized test scores. Penn State accepts either the SAT or the ACT. You can take one or the other or both. We require the official scores be set from the testing service. So for the SAT, you go onto the College Board website and you'll have your scores sent to Penn State, or it's the ACT website. And something unique to us is we do not super score at Penn State. Some colleges and universities will take your highest math score and your highest reading score from all of the testing dates that you've taken of the SAT to create a super score. At Penn State, we don't do that. So if you take the SAT multiple times, we will take your highest combined score from a single testing date and use that in our evaluation. Last but not least, SAT subject tests are not required when you fill that out, nor is the writing section of the SAT. And last but not least, on the right is the supporting materials. So there's a section on our application for a personal statement and activities list. Both of these sections are strongly recommended, but they are optional. So you do not need to fill them out. The personal statement is anything that your application doesn't tell us about you that you want to let us know about. You can put down in your personal statement. It's kind of like an essay, but again, it's optional. So it's really any supplemental information you want to provide for us. And then the activities list is simply a list of what you're involved in high school. We take that information and we will share it with our student affairs office if and when you become a Penn Stater to try to jumpstart your involvement and activity in our clubs and activities. And then some of our programs, particularly in the colleges of arts and architecture, may require an audition or a portfolio review. So an audition for music and musical theater, or a portfolio for arts and a lot of the art-based programs. Now, some of you may be wondering, you said you need SAT or ACT scores. Well, you actually have some options. If you're a high school senior and you're looking to apply for this upcoming fall, we have now adopted a secondary evaluation. We have two evaluation choices for you that you get to pick from. On the left is our traditional evaluation, where we were looking at your high school record based off of your self-reported academic record, grades 9 through 11, your standardized test scores, and your supporting materials. And the general breakdown of this evaluation is about 2/3 of our decision is based off of your self-reported academic record. The other 1/3 is based off of your SAT or ACT scores. And that's kind of how we're going to evaluate you if you choose the traditional evaluation. On the right, though, we also have our test optional evaluation. In response to COVID and to provide students with flexibility and options, we have adopted this test optional evaluation. And if you apply and choose this route, we will not need you to submit standardized test scores. So you do not need to take the SAT or ACT. If you've been unable to take those exams, or if you're not happy with your scores, you do not need that to apply to Penn State for this upcoming fall. Moving forward, if we have any sophomores or juniors on the chat today, we're not sure how we're going to take that into the future. So moving forward, just know that our traditional evaluation is definitely going to always be available. And if test optional goes well, we may bring it back for future years. But don't count on that. Check whenever it's time to apply to see what's required. And if you apply test optional, by the way, we're going to be basing our entire decision solely off of your high school record. Paying closer attention to your academic coursework, math, science, English, all of your liberal arts classes like history. So that's the focus of that evaluation. And you will choose this when you apply. It's a question on the application. And just know that after you submit your application, your choice is locked in. You can make the change to that choice after you apply by going into your My Penn State account. But the moment that we evaluate you and a decision has been made, you can no longer change that choice. So whether you're admitted, denied, or deferred, you cannot change the method of the evaluation. So just something to keep in mind. So the next chart here is estimating your eligibility. What you see before you is our middle 50%. So Penn State doesn't have cutoffs or really set ranges for our criteria. What you see here, though, is about 50% of our students last year scored within these ranges. So it's 50% of our admitted students. 25% scored lower and 25% scored higher. If you're in these ranges, you have a really solid shot of being offered admission to Penn State, but it's not a guarantee. The best thing you could do for yourself is apply and get your materials in as soon as possible during your senior year, and that will maximize your chances and your eligibility for being offered admission. Now, you'll notice that on the left are our Commonwealth campus criteria, and on the right is our University Park criteria. So it is a little more competitive to get into Penn State University Park. So I encourage you, if you are a high school senior looking to apply for the fall, make sure that you get your application in sooner rather than later if you're looking to apply first choice to University Park. This year, our early action deadline is November 15th. So making sure you apply and get your materials in here in the next week or so will maximize your chances. And then for all of our other Commonwealth campuses as well, you'll see our criteria and ranges there for you. So the next thing I want to talk about is tuition and fees. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, tuition varies by campus. And the smaller the campus, the lower the tuition costs. So our 13 smaller campuses range in cost about $13,500, $13,600, give or take. And that's tuition per year. Some of our middle-sized campuses, they range a little bit above $15,000 a year. And then University Park is $18,000 a year, $18,500. That's, again, tuition for 1 year. If you are going to a Penn State campus that is not close to home, so you'd have to live on campus or live out in the area, you also have to factor in another $12,000 for room and board. So that brings your cost up for the University Park to close to $30,000. And then some of our middle or smaller campuses, closer to $25,000 to $22,000. But again, the best bang for your buck and the way you could save a ton of money is by commuting back and forth from home for your first 2 years of study by doing the 2+2 plan. Just by doing 2+2 and commuting back and forth from home, you're saving over $30,000 on your Penn State education. Before any scholarships, grants, or other financial aid is applied, you're saving that much money off of the room and board cost and the tuition savings. And if you decide to stay all 4 years and complete your degree at a campus close to home, you're saving $60,000 at minimum on the same diploma and the same education at the end of the day. Penn State was built by design this way. We're supposed to be affordable and accessible to students all across the Commonwealth. And this is one way to do that for you to keep your costs down as much as possible. So I want to wrap up my portion of the presentation before we open it up to the Q&A with this chart showing you all of the amazing things that Penn State has to offer. There are over 5,000 colleges and universities around the country, and they're all amazing. They have great academic programs, great student life opportunities, but Penn State is all of that and then some. Again, we're one university, but we have 20 undergraduate campus locations that vary in size, location, and even cost. So you have options to choose from. Academically, we have over 275 majors. You could double major. You can get a major and a minor. You can really fine tune your education to your wants and needs. Clubs and activities, etc. There's a lot of options for you. But probably the biggest and best selling point of Penn State is our Alumni Association. We have the world's largest alumni association. The amazing statistic is 1 out of every 117 Americans with a college degree is a Penn State alum. So when you graduate, you have your foot in the door anywhere you want to work throughout the country. And Penn Staters love nothing more than to help other Penn Staters. So you are truly connected for life, well beyond graduation, as being part of this Penn State family. And again, as I started with the presentation, I'm going to end with it. At no other university can you tailor your education to your exact wants and needs like you can at Penn State. So with that, I want to turn it back over to Dave, and I will stop sharing my screen, and we'll start the Q&A.
Perfect. Great job as always, Justin. Nice
Thank
job.
you.
Nice job. Round of applause, virtual round of applause for you. So hopefully that answered some of your questions, but we know you have a lot of lingering questions out there. So we encourage you to use the Q&A function down there at the bottom of your screen. And as you guys start thinking of your different kind of questions that you want to ask our panelists, I'll go ahead and introduce our panel of experts if they can want to go ahead and start turning on their mic there. We'll go ahead and start with Trey.
Hello, guys. How are you today? My name is Trey. I'm a admissions counselor here at Penn State.
Cool. Andrea?
Hey, everybody. I am Andrea Conkle. I am the Associate Director of Admissions at Penn State Behrend, which is in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Kim Amy. I'm the Director of Recruitment in the Undergraduate Admissions Office based at the University Park campus.
Perfect, perfect. So again, you guys, any kind of questions you have for our panelists here, please go ahead and use that Q&A function. We'll go ahead and start off with some just general questions that we usually get a lot of. Usually one of the more popular ones is what's kind of things is there to do at Penn State? And Kim, why don't you start off and talk a little bit about study abroad?
Sure. Yeah, I know that you're thinking about a campus that you want to go to and spend the next 4 years of your life. And obviously, if you want to stay at Penn State, you're going to be there all 4 years and get a great education. But we are a global university, and we definitely encourage our students to study abroad. And I think a lot of universities have study abroad, right? But I think what sets Penn State apart is just the number of programs, the breadth of those programs, the length of those programs. You have so many options, and that just really speaks to the flexibility. We have over 300 programs in over 50 countries. So if there's some place you want to go, you can definitely get there through Penn State. And I think the nice thing is too, is, if you're not really ready for a whole semester abroad, a whole year abroad, that's what people think about when they think of study abroad, right? Like, I'm going to be gone away from home for a year. You don't have to be. You definitely have that option to maybe go abroad for the summer through a summer program. So you can be on campus all year and take that summer session. You can even participate in what we call embedded programs. So you can be on campus all semester, and then maybe during your spring break or your Thanksgiving break, you have a study abroad component as a part of that class. So those are very popular options too for students who want to get abroad and see a little bit of the world, in a very short period of time and still have that on campus experience. And then obviously, to go hand in hand with that, not only does Penn State send our students abroad, we have a large international population across the university, so you get that great diversity and perspective as well. So definitely a lot to explore if you want to leave campus for a little bit and have that additional aspect to your education.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Kim. So Trey, why don't you tell us a little bit of what student life, what's life like as a student?
Absolutely, Dave. There's a lot of opportunities for students to really be engaged and have a chance to make friends outside of the classroom. Justin touched on a little bit during the presentation. There are over 1,200 clubs and activities at Penn State. So, for example, the Fawn Club that we saw earlier in the presentation, students dance for 46 hours to promote, to raise money for pediatric cancer. There's a gaming club, there's a nursing club, a fitness club, and also one of my favorites is line ambassadors for student representatives to showcase campus to prospective families and students. So there's always activities for students to be involved in. Also in terms of intramural sports for students who don't want to play, on athletic team, they can be a part of maybe cornhole or flag football, or even men's and women's basketball. So a lot of activities to stay engaged, building friendships and relationships at Penn State.
My favorite is the Chicken Wing Appreciation Club. That's one of my favorites. It's a good one. I highly encourage everybody to join that one. Andrew, questions about research. What kind of things can students get involved in when it comes to research?
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things at Penn State that is so different from a lot of places is the opportunities for undergraduate students to be involved in research. So Penn State is a Tier 1 research university, so that means we're part of a group of colleges and universities in the United States that is receiving the most funding for research. And so last year we did over $900 million in research at the undergraduate level. And that can happen across all campuses. Just to give you a couple examples of students at my campus that I know the research they're working on because they work for us in the admissions office. It could be something like our campus does a publication examining the economic activity in the Erie area, and they put it out, and it goes to like all the news stations and all that. So it could be economic research. It's not just in a laboratory and science research. Of course, that happens as well. Erie is a big grape growing and wine region. So we have students doing research on grapes and different like fungus and stuff that affects the plants. So across all disciplines, no matter what you're interested in, you can find research opportunities at Penn State. And that is, I always say it's like a gold star on your resume or graduate school application to be involved in that.
It's great. It's great stuff. So Justin, you talked a little bit about the campuses, but one of probably the biggest questions is how do I pick between 20 different campuses? Which one's the right for me? How do I go about doing that?
Definitely. And the first thing you want to do is look inside and see what's the most important factors for college for you. Where do you find your fit? So knowing, am I looking to go to a smaller campus or a larger one? That's an easy way to determine what campuses are available to you. Are you looking to stay close to home or move as far away from mom and dad as physically possible without leaving the state? That's another great question. And then go online and do some research. Our websites are amazing. Our admissions website, you could actually compare campuses to see what's available and what the options are. But as I pointed out earlier, outside of the actual location and in the size, every Penn State campus is the same and offers the same opportunities. So you truly do have your pick depending on what your interests are.
So a couple questions in the Q&A. So again, guys, any questions you have, go ahead and shoot them down there at the bottom of the screen. So Trey, big question, can you answer our campus tours being offered right now?
Absolutely, Dave. So at the Commonwealth campuses and University Park, we are preferring the virtual option to do our tours. Now, Commonwealth campuses, there's an option to have an in-person visit. They have to be registered ahead of time as well, but we are promoting and preferring our virtual visits. At Penn State Fayette, the campus that I work at, we're doing our visits, and I am walking students through the application process, how to apply, showing a video presentation of our campus, and the other counselors are doing the same as well at the other Commonwealth campuses. So we are preferring the virtual appointments. A parent or guardian over 18 must be present as well, but the in-person factor is available if you register ahead of time.
Exciting opportunity during this time, exciting opportunities. So go ahead and check out all those options on our websites. So Andrea, can you talk a little bit about how students can find their majors with all these different kind of options? You know, if they're undecided, you know, talk about different kind of ways they can get involved within their major.
Yeah, so I think one of the best things to do is just start researching on our website. So a couple different places you can go on the Penn State website to take a look at majors. If you just go to admissions.psu.edu, you should pretty easily be able to navigate to the academics and majors section. And there's different ways that you can kind of sort those. So if you want to know, what is everything that Penn State offers in, you have an interest in computers. So you can see all of the different majors that are related to computers. So that's a great way, a great tool to kind of start seeing big picture what's available at Penn State. On that part of our website, it'll also tell you campuses where those majors are offered. So as Justin talked about in his presentation, and sometimes I say to students, Penn State's like choose your own adventure. There's so many different ways and so many different ways to start and finish a degree. So it'll tell you the campus where that program would need to be finished. So for the final 2 years. And if there's any restrictions about where the program needs to be started, it will be listed there as well. And then another great site to go to is bulletin.psu.edu. And that's going to give you a lot more in-depth information about the major. So you see something kind of on that general list and you're like, I want to know more about civil engineering. You can go to the bulletin.psu.edu and see even more in-depth information about that program.
Cool, perfect. So usually, especially right now, there's a lot of changes happening with our application because of everything that's going on. And Justin, you did mention test optional a little bit. I wonder if you can kind of expand on that a little bit.
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, we adopted test optional to provide you with flexibility and options. So knowing how challenging it's been this fall for students to even schedule the SAT or the ACT, let alone do well on those exams, test optional gives you the option to kind of just put all that aside. And we'll be basing our decision off of your high school academic record, paying close attention to your academic coursework, your GPA, and that's really what we're going to be evaluating you on if you choose to go test optional. I will add that you're at no disadvantage if you apply test optional. Both of these evaluation options are available to you, and it doesn't matter which one you choose. We're going to do a comprehensive evaluation of all the materials that you provide and offer you admission based off of that. But please know that test optional is a great way to apply if you haven't been able to take those tests or if you're not happy with your scores.
Fantastic. So Kim, can you tell us a little bit about, class sizes that students might kind of see during their time at Penn State? You got the big ones at UP and the small ones at campuses and how students can kind of fit there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Justin did a great job of talking about the sizes of all our campuses. Obviously, the classrooms vary so much in size too. So at University Park, we have large classrooms. Our largest is 700 students. So you can have a class that large at University Park. Most often though, when students are in those classes, it's because they're choosing to be in that class. It's so popular. It's something that, that students really want to learn about. They have to have those big classrooms to accommodate the demand. You have a lot of ways to make those classrooms smaller, sit closer to the front, and those faculty members are really skilled and engaging in those large classroom spaces. But truthfully, at University Park, most of your classes, about 85% of them, are going to be 50 students or fewer. And you're guaranteed to have 2 classes in your first year that are about 30 students or fewer. So it really, you have that broad spectrum. And then as you go in your major at University Park, your classes do get smaller as they get more specialized. You get into your upper level courses, you can have much smaller classroom experiences. But that is also one of the benefits of starting at one of our Commonwealth campuses is obviously you can have those small classroom, those intimate classroom experiences from the very beginning. And so some students obviously know right away that a large classroom of 700 students is intimidating. And that might not be the best environment to be in coming from maybe a smaller high school or someplace that you're used to a smaller environment, and you want to have that as you transition into college. And certainly you do have that opportunity with our Commonwealth campuses to be connected to your faculty members in a much more close-knit setting, get to really know your faculty and your classmates and have that transition. And whether you want to be there in that small setting all 4 years or then transition, and when you do transition to University Park, knowing that your classes might be a little larger, but not much larger, in that 3rd and 4th year, you do have that opportunity.
Perfect. Trey, I'm wondering if you can help answer a really common question a lot of students have is, can you have a car?
Yes, absolutely. Now at the Commonwealth campuses, especially at the Penn State Fayette campus, cars are available. As a freshman at University Park, you have to stay on campus, but yes, you can have a car on campus.
Perfect. Exciting news, exciting news. So Andrea, can you tell us a little bit about like what happens after Penn State, like the career services, all those internship opportunities that we have?
Yeah, so Penn State has really highly ranked career services. So number 9 in the country by Princeton Review. So, when you're thinking about your college education and the value that you get from the college or university that you pick, one of the value added things, there's my 2 favorite, Justin talked about the Alumni Association, and then the other one is career services. So both of those are for your entire life. So once you leave Penn State, 10 years down the road, you need to revise your resume, you can come back to Penn State to get help with that. So while you're a student, I think it starts as early as your first year. So starting to all of our campus locations have career services, and starting to, kind of see them as early as your first year, start attending some job fairs, just go walk around, start building that resume. Most of our campuses, career services will do things like workshops. So resume, how to dress for an interview. They'll do mock interviews with you. So if you're nervous about that first interview, you can sit down with one of our career counselors and kind of go over like, what's it like to be in an interview. Our campuses have job fairs. So across the Commonwealth, our campuses are going to have different job fair opportunities. There is an online network that you can use as well to get job postings and apply for jobs. So again, I think it's one of those really value added things for Penn State is the services that you get for careers. So start early, go see them your freshman year, start thinking about internships and career opportunities and really take advantage of that.
Amazing advice. So lightning round for all of our panelists. Let's go through real quick your favorite ice cream from the creamery. Trey.
I would say Peachy Paterno is my favorite.
Cam.
Death by Chocolate.
Andrea.
Coffee break.
Justin.
Alumni Swirl.
Fortunately, you're all wrong. The answer we were looking for was peanut butter swirl. That's the correct answer we were looking for. Good luck next time, guys. So we got a few minutes left here before the end of our session. And again, any questions that you guys have, please go right ahead and put them there at the bottom of the Q&A. So I guess we talked a little bit about the campus opportunities, the research opportunities. But I guess quickly, Justin, do you want to cover a little bit about some of the great benefits of just going to Penn State? And you went to Penn State, right? So why'd you choose Penn State?
Yeah. I'm a 2-time alum. I graduated back in 2011 with a degree in business management and marketing. I also have my MBA from Penn State. And really the thing that I love the most, and I'll give a major kudos to our smaller campuses, is that at a smaller campus, you're kind of like a big fish in a small pond. You have a world-class university at your fingertips, the resources, the opportunities, the funding, but you have less students to compete against. So one thing that Penn State really did for me is if I, as a student, I had opportunities, I participated in research, I started my own club and organization, and I don't think I would have gotten those opportunities anywhere else. And the support that Penn State gives you, that Penn State family network, they not only give you the resources to succeed, but they carry you up and we all kind of do things together. And that's the value of that Penn State degree, is that you can truly make your education what you want it to be from the ground up. Regardless of what you're studying, regardless of what you're involved in, you can really make a name for yourself. And well beyond graduation, you're always welcome back for open houses, for just football games, for concerts and different activities. Penn Staters are bleed blue and white. They're through and through. So that's just my 2 cents. Again, I stand true. At Penn State, you could do anything that you want as a student.
It's amazing. Trey, I know you kind of talked a little bit about student life a little bit and what life is like, but what's a typical day look like for a student when they wake up for their 8 a.m. class?
Absolutely. Now, 8 a.m. classes were never my favorite, but especially now during this time, we are in this virtual space, but in a normal setting, it would be getting up early, maybe going for a walk around our beautiful campuses, maybe getting together at one of our dining areas and having breakfast or meeting students for lunch. It's just an opportunity to really, if there's any maybe games going on at night, whether it's a basketball game or football game, maybe going to one of a club meetings, just having an interactive experience with your classmates and your students, or even talking to faculty during their office hours. So just really have an opportunity to study, meet with other students, be involved in different clubs and organizations. Just having a great time and enjoying college while you have that while you're at Penn State. It's a fast 4 years or 2 years for our students, and we want to make sure it's as enjoyable as possible. So there's a lot of activities, a lot of clubs, and we want to make sure that you're having the best time on and off campus.
Perfect. And we do have a question from the Q&A. So Justin, I wonder if you might be able to answer this one because it talks about the application process. So if a student wants to apply to a few majors, say they're undecided, they can't pick a certain one, can they pick 2 or can they double major once they eventually get to Penn State?
Great question. So you can only choose one major at a time. So this is where if you are undecided within a certain academic area, so we'll say engineering, you're not sure if you want to do mechanical or computer engineering, you can apply undecided within the engineering discipline. Or if you're torn between majors that are completely different, something in communications and something in the sciences, that's where DUS comes into play. And when I talk about DUS, something to know is that your advisor for DUS will know information about every academic program that Penn State has to offer. Instead of if you apply directly to computer engineering, your advisor is going to know computer engineering like the back of their hand. But if you decide to change your major, or if you have other interests, they're not going to be able to guide you as well as someone that's a generalist about all of our academic programs. And something else I'll note about our majors is there are options buried within our majors that you may not see at first glance. So for instance, we have a program called Information Sciences and Technology. At its core, it's computer engineering and computer science, but also ties in business and psychology. It's the study of how and why people use tech on a daily basis. But even buried under that major, there's an integration and an application option. There's a systems design and development option. So whether you're looking to build things from the ground up or take pre-existing technology and add new tech to it and new life to it, those are 2 options. There's even a cybersecurity option to it as well. So as you see, you can get very specific into your major. Something else I'll throw out there about academics is we have these integrated programs. They're undergraduate, graduate programs that allow you to get a bachelor's degree and a master's degree on the same day. They're usually 5-year programs that allow you to get your bachelor's degree and simultaneously take classes towards your master's degree. And you can save time and money in those processes. And it's just a great way to get your education and really excel. The last thing, I see some other questions coming through, but one thing I will tell you, and we've talked about this a couple of times tonight, is making sure that you graduate with experience, getting involved in clubs, getting involved in internships, co-op opportunities, or anything that allows you to enhance your education through experience is key, especially when it comes time to finding jobs. When it comes time to applying, employers not only want to see a degree, they also want to see that you have real world experience. And with Penn State's Career Services Office, we will certainly help you do that. As a matter of fact, several of our majors require you to have an internship to graduate. So I know I went off on a tangent there, but I thought that was important information.
No, that's a very important, Justin. We really appreciate that. So as you guys can see, there's a lot to talk about Penn State and more than what we could talk about in a 45-minute Zoom session. So what we highly encourage you to do is to reach out to any of our campuses or admissions officers, and we will be more than welcome to talk to you more specifically about your individual one-on-one questions. So you see on your screen there our email address and our website. So please feel free to reach out with any kind of questions that you have for us. we hopefully that you've seen a little glimpse of what Penn State has to offer, and we hope to see you apply either this year or next year or whatever year you're ready for us. So we hope to see you as an Indy line one day. So again, on behalf of our panelists, we thank you guys for logging on and taking some time to learn a little more about Penn State. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, thank you very much to the Penn State team, and thanks to everyone who joined us tonight. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at pacac.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recordings, as well as all of the other session recordings at pacac.org. That's PACA.org. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.